bow, 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 wow. Guys, we're here. We made it. It's Thursday. Turning off your beepers. Silence your cell phones. Dude, it's a Fantasy Affair live stream. We're here, and I'm not here by myself. We got a special guest. I'm talking the cream of the crop, baby. I'm talking the one and the only James Koh. You know him from Reception Perception, DirecTV, Emmys, NFL Network, you name it. He's done it, baby. And he's going to come tonight or today, whatever, talk NFL rookies, talk a little old school. And you know, every day I'm hustling. Let's welcome him on, man. James Lightning Koh, baby. What's up, my man?
What an introduction, man. I got to come onto this podcast more just so I get hyped up, bro.
Dude, all gas, no break, baby. We're here for you
it.
today, and the audiences can't wait to just pick your brain, have a good time.
Man, I'm looking forward to it. No, you're right. I mean, here we are, on a beautiful Thursday. It's myself, it's the Matty Daddy, and we're going to be talking a little fantasy football. Don't get no better than that, man.
That's right. Matty Daddy, James Koh. Nobody does it better. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, freak out. We got our first guest, Troy King. What's up? Yeah, man. Dude, let's get down to business. We'll get to know you a little bit later. That's what the hustle part is of this episode. But let's talk rookies. You're joining forces with Matt Harmon. You're killing it. Y'all just had your first episode. You too, baby. Taking over. So so far hanging with Harmon, your boy? First episode of Reception Perception on YouTube in the books. How's it feeling?
Oh, it's great, man. Hey, listen, he and I have been pals for a while now, and now we're kind of more than pals. We're business partners, which is great. When he told me that he was going to be taking Reception Perception out on its own and kind of starting its own website, I knew I had to be a part of it, and I did what I had to do to kind of sort of join that family, So I've been very, very bullish on Reception Perception ever since I found out about what it was. And this is, 5 years ago, I think it was. And I encouraged him from the jump. I mean, he was just a young kid. And I said, hey, listen, you need to really run with this Reception Perception thing, because I believe it. And I think it's going to be something that will carry your career for a very long time. So I remember talking to him just, again, man, like just from the jump, and just saying, listen, keep this, never sell this, make it your own and own it. And that's exactly what he's done. And he's absolutely killed it. And I am absolutely honored and excited about joining forces with my pal, Matt Harmon, to kind of give people, again, a very, very analytical look and a very inside football look into some of the game's best receivers.
Peel the pages back, baby, and get the results that you need. I will tell you one thing, fantasy footballers, I love them, but Reception Perception, that was the whole reason I paid for the draft notebook. I had Matt Harmon, baby.
Can I just say, too, it's like, look, I know a lot of folks were introduced to the church of Reception Perception through the fantasy footballers. And listen, I love the fantasy footballers, okay? But I know some people are going to be disappointed that it's not going to be in there. But come to the site, receptionperception.com.
That opens a whole new window for Matt Harmon and you, dude. That's what we're here for, is those yum-yums, those hot buys. We get to see the Curtis Samuels. We get to, hey, I want to be a Curtis Samuel fan too, baby.
Right.
So let's talk rookie receivers. You guys were breaking them down last show. I enjoyed the Devontae Smith back and forth. But let's talk these big three right off the bat. First round, Chase. Chase is on the case. Been killing it in college, and now he's hooking up with his old boy Burrow. Devontae Smith, and then Waddle with Tua. What do we have here? Tell me, is Chase the no doubt the cream of the crop of this crew, or is there room for Waddle and Smith to kind of jump in?
No, I mean, by far, he is he's easily the cream of the crop. I mean, he's the best player, probably, he might be the best player in the draft. I mean, quite honestly. To me, when I think about Jamar Chase and when I look at what he does, when I look at what's put down on paper, his athletic profile, this guy to me is a potential Hall of Famer. That's how bullish and how high I am on Jamar Chase. We're talking about a guy who's 6 feet, 200 pounds. He ran a 4.38 40. He has got a 41-inch vertical. The athletic profile is certainly there. Everything you see on tape is certainly there as well. The catch radius, the high pointing of the football, the football tracking, the hands, the route running. It's all there. And the man was absolutely unstoppable in college. We're talking, sophomore year. So what is he, 19 years old, putting up 17, nearly 1,800 yards, 20 touchdowns in 14 games. The guy's an absolute force and an absolute beast. And if he can stay healthy, to me, there's no reason why he's not a perennial Pro Bowler.
So he's like we said, he's the top-notch player, receiver of this rookie class. But you see those two Alabama boys on the side. Devontae Smith winning the Heisman at receiver?
Yeah.
Man, that's nuts. 1,800 yards, 20-something touchdowns, and then Waddle. Waddle's got that. They're already starting to do the Tyreek Hill, all the jazz and the gimme. So what are your thoughts? If you're picking between these two receivers, who's your guy? Instant impact year one.
Well, I think from a fantasy perspective, Devontae Smith certainly has a clearer projection in terms of a path to volume. Waddle is in a very murky, situation. I think from a real life football perspective, Waddle is great, but if we're talking about fantasy, I don't necessarily know if I'm investing in Waddle because, again, I know he's got that connection with Tua, but keep in mind, Devontae Barker, great player. Will Fuller, great player. And these are established, NFL wide receivers. I think Waddle's got a little bit of room to grow. And certainly, I think the Tyreek Hill comparisons, I think they're fair, right? I mean, we're talking about a guy didn't run the official 40, but an estimated time in the low 4.3s. Very, very fast guy, 5'9", 180 pounds. So whatever he's got, the package it's very robust, compact package with crazy speed. So we know he missed most of 2020 with an ankle injury. He only played 4 games. Again, reportedly suffered an ankle fracture back in October. We're hoping that he's recovered from that. But yeah, again, I do think that the comps to Tyreek Hill, because of the size, speed, and power, certainly make a lot of sense. In terms of reception perception, Jalen Waddle could be a very special player. He scored a 74% success rate on the 9s. That was first among all prospects coming into 2021. And an 80% success rate on the post route. And again, of the 12 guys that Matt charted, he came out third in terms of success rate on the post. So when we're talking about long speed and we're talking about playmaking ability deep downfield, this is your guy.
So the potential's there with Waddle. It might be more of a wait and see because of those ankle injuries, because of what we don't know what we have in. We think we know what we have in Tua, but it's a sturdy defense, and we got to see what we got in that offense.
Right.
Now, on the other side of the ball, Devontae Smith taking over college football, but
yeah.
He's like in the light heavyweight division, baby. So what? You're playing with pros. You're playing with alphas. The NFL is a bunch of, Ray Lewis's out there.
Yep.
So Devontae Smith, that weight, is it going to be that big of a difference? Like we said, we've seen the Hollywoods. Maybe not the total package. Devontae Smith.
The problem with Devontae Smith is that when you kind of sort of go back and look at the athletic profile for Devontae Smith, you just don't find anybody with that profile who has done well. It's just, and I know he can break the mold. I know he can be a very good player. It's just, to me, the draft capital that Philadelphia spent on Devontae Smith, in my opinion, just doesn't make sense. 6 feet, 165 pounds, did not test at his pro day either, which that's a concern for me. If you've got the speed, you're not shy about showing it off. Now there are certain estimates out there that say this is a guy that's got, conservatively, speed is somewhere in the high 4.4s. Maybe on a slow day he's running in the low 4.5s. Bro, at 6 feet, 165 pounds,
He should be flightening.
that is bad. That is just straight up bad. So again, I think he comes with, and I've said this before, he is somebody that comes with a lot of risk, a ton of risk. And again, just think about what Philadelphia spent to go get this guy. Now, look, I'll go back to the athletic profile for just a second here, okay? Now, there have been other small wide receivers, but when I looked them up per relative athletic score, go check out their website, by the way, if you haven't. It's a neat little website. Over the last 20 years, I'm looking for guys that have been up to 6'1", up to 175 pounds, taken in the first 3 rounds. Literally, Maddie, there have been 3 guys total in the last 20 years. Okay, Hollywood Brown, 5'9", 166. Deshaun Jackson, 5'10", 170. And Paul Richardson, 6 feet, 170 pounds. 175 pounds.
They were all going the distance.
And those guys can burn, baby. Hollywood Brown had a 4.33 40. Deshaun Jackson, legendary speed. He ran a 4.35 40 at the combine. Paul Richardson, a little bit of an outlier, ran a 4.4 flat. But still plenty of speed there. And again, if we're saying that Devontae Smith is running in the high 4.4s, we just haven't seen a player like this be successful in the NFL. So I'm a little bit concerned. Now, you mentioned the Heisman Trophy. How much of that too? I guess I don't put a lot of stock into it, to be honest with you.
Because Waddle being hurt.
Exactly. Waddle's hurt.
Yeah.
If Waddle's not hurt, I think we can all safely assume Devontae Smith is not putting up those numbers. Devontae Smith certainly is not going to be winning the Heisman. He's only one of 3 wide receivers to ever win the award. So I think if you saw Waddle in there, I think it'd be fair to assume that Devontae Smith would not have won that award. And if you're resting your laurels on that, boy, that's a tough sell for me. So now, can he be a good player? I absolutely think so. I know Matt Harmon's pretty high on him.
People are looking for these receivers. They've had the DK Metcalfs, the AJ Browns. We've been spoiled with riches at wide receiver. So if they're expecting this kind of instant production, are they just going to be let down?
Well, again, I think he's got a path to volume. There's not a ton of, it's him and Jalen Reagor, and who is Jalen Reagor? I just don't see that much competition for targets. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
I think the target share will certainly be there. How much are they going to throw? Yet to be determined. It's like, it's not Carson Wentz back there, right? So we thinking that there might be more of a running quarterback situation, maybe a little bit lower volume in terms of overall pass attempts, but overall, listen, I think you can pencil him in for 100 targets if he stays healthy, if not more, which would be great. Keep in mind, I think 120 targets. That's kind of sort of the threshold for top 25 receiver production. So that is certainly something that, that's a target share that he could push. He could push it.
We like that.
But I would probably put him more in the 100 target range. And expect, like wide receiver 2, borderline wide receiver 3 production here in year number 1.
Patience, young grasshopper. That's where we're at with Waddle and Smith. They might be the kitty's titties, but you got to wait. Slow burn, baby. Go all in on Chase. Let's take a few steps back on the other 2. Speaking of a few steps back, man, because this is rookie season, everybody's going hype over these guys. Ghosts of yesterday's past, N'Keal Harry, Ruggs, and then Kadarius Toney. They look like they're all ganged up together on your side. So let's look at these guys. Kadarius, they have just poo-pooed him since he's came out. They're like, oh, the Giants they're just not there. We've seen just the heckling. Kadarius Toney, can he rise from the ashes like a phoenix and have a role, an impact on this team. And then, of course, you see Ruggs and Nikhil. Are we done on these guys?
No, I mean, I think especially for Ruggs. I mean, I actually liked what I saw from Ruggs in limited stints. Now, I mean, listen, I know it's crazy to say, but okay, Nelson I can't believe I'm saying this, but Nelson Aguilar not being there. They did sign John Brown, who I think is a fabulous signing, especially at the cost that they got him at. So, but John Brown, Henry Ruggs, it gives you a lot of speed on the outside. Now, I give you that it is undersized, but certainly a lot of speed there for Derek Carr at the wide receiver position. So no, I'm not out on Ruggs. I think Ruggs can certainly be a good player. Kadarius Toney, he's a project. And I guess that's why a lot of folks were kind of, clowning on the Giants. Like, why are you spending first round capital on a project wide receiver? I mean, especially when you look at somebody like Elijah Moore, who was right there for the taking, polished slot man. I thought he would have been perfect for that offense. Sterling Shepard's a great slot man too, but he has some of that versatility. He can play a little bit of flanker too, if you need him there. So I guess, yeah, it didn't. It's a draft pick that didn't make a lot of sense. But as I've said in previous spots, to me, it's a Gettleman pick in that he is making sure his entire reputation, his job, is on the line, and it rests on the shoulders of their quarterback. And
that's
that
scary.
And that's a scary, scary proposition, because Daniel Jones, as we have seen, I don't see it. I don't see it. But you have surrounded him with, my God, a ton of speed, a lot of playmakers. If he doesn't get it done, let's be real, he's a bust. Okay, you can't give him this many weapons and say, hey, listen, you can't be a middling quarterback. You've got to be not just an above average quarterback. You have to be a good quarterback. And I think Gettleman knows this. And Gettleman absolutely trying to stack the deck for Daniel Jones. We'll see if it works. I don't think it will.
Send help. Help! It's like when you run out of toilet paper. Help! So speaking of, if you're running out of toilet paper, N'Keal Harry, man, everybody has shit on him. So is there anything here, or is it's just one of those you just got to kind of keep going?
I like N'Keal Harry, and I'm not giving up on him, because the quarterback, Cam Newton, was not great. Let's be real. Last year either. I don't know if he's, nursing a shoulder injury or if that's continuing to bother. He says it doesn't. My eyeballs tell me different, and so look, the bottom line is, as a rookie, he didn't do anything, right? What is it? 12 receptions, 105 yards. In his sophomore campaign, he didn't do nothing, right? 33 receptions, 309 yards. And the dude played 14 games last year, started 9 of them. Certainly that is a warning sign. I mean, listen, you're talking about a guy averaging 22 yards per game, and you spent first round capital on him. I'm not ready to give up on him, because I saw way too much of what this guy did at Arizona State. And I'm a Pac-12 guy. So full disclosure, I am a Pac-12 guy. So I did see a lot of N'Keal Harry, and I really liked what I saw. Now, I think he's a great 50-50 contested catch guy. He showed at the combine that if he can get a good runway, certainly has that 40 speed as well. But is he going to be a fit with what Cam Newton is doing? Maybe not. This guy might be look, I think N'Keal Harry, if he's in the right spot in the right system, can be a baller. I don't think he's in the right spot. I don't think he's in the right system for N'Keal Harry. That's why I believe I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots cut him after this season and he ends up being a reclamation project somewhere else. And if he goes to the right landing spot, don't be surprised if he does have flashes of brilliance. So, but yeah, listen, I'm not giving up on N'Keal Harry, man. Like, I don't think it's the right quarterback. I don't think it's the right system for him. But you know what, man? Crazier things have happened. And I know we're talking about a guy who's 6'4", 225 pounds. He can run in the high 4.4s, low 4.5s. look at the college tape, man. The guy could play. So he's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the college game tape. I think he just needs an opportunity. So let's see if it works for him.
Sometimes you just got to hold on to these guys a little too long, and it hurts. But maybe there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Before we move on to the fun stuff, dude, rookie receivers, let's close it out. We've got a couple names here: Elijah Moore, Rondale Moore, St. Brown with Goff, Bateman, and Mitchell. Give me one that's an instant producer out the gates, and then give me one that you're kind of holding for that slow burn.
Well, I mean, I think there's a few here. I really like Rashad Bateman there in Baltimore. From a fantasy perspective, he's going to be inconsistent. Clearly, they just don't pass the ball a lot. And Hollywood's there. Mark Andrews is there. We're talking about a rookie wide receiver. Now, that being said, I love the athletic profile for Rashad Bateman, 6'1", 190 pounds. He ran a 4.39 40 at that size, bruh. Like, that's not bad.
He's a beast.
He's a beast. And listen, it's certainly, and you turn on his Minnesota tape, again, this guy fights for it. He absolutely, what I love about when you turn on Bateman's tape is that he is a fighter, man. Like, he will fight for that football. Now, do I like Hollywood? Certainly he's got a lot of speed. I don't think, and Matt has said this too, Matt Harmon has said this too, I don't think Hollywood profiles as your number one wide receiver. I think he's a terrific number two wide receiver.
That opens the door.
Oh my goodness. Bateman, though. This dude could be a number one. And again, I just kind of sort of love, what I kind of saw on tape. I love his athletic profile. And again, from a fantasy perspective, is he going to be reliable? No. He just won't see that target share. You're just not going to see it. But from a real life perspective, I really like what this does for Baltimore's passing game. And certainly you add in Sammy Watkins into the mix as well. All of a sudden, you've got actually a really nice trio of wide receivers. Really no excuse now for Lamar Jackson to excel as a passer. He really needs to develop as a passer to take his game. And I know this sounds stupid because the guy won an MVP. I'm just saying, if you want to become an unstoppable weapon, he's already a great player. But if you want to become an unstoppable weapon, a la Patrick Mahomes, this is the area that you can improve. Also, it's an area that's going to extend your career too, man. So I just think it's a smart move for Lamar and the Baltimore Ravens organization. But I really like Rashad Bateman there in Baltimore.
It's just crazy. Like, we just got done talking Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Kind of runs, kind of passes. He gets Tony. And we've moved on to Lamar Jackson. He runs a lot and he can kind of pass. And now we have Bateman. It'd be kind of cool to see what would happen if Tony went to the Baltimore and then, vice versa. Dude, you're getting.
Well, I'm glad that Tony didn't go to Baltimore because I don't think Kadarius would have helped Baltimore in any way, shape, or form.
No.
So,
dude, you're getting blown up with comments. I'm sure you're used to this.
Great.
Real Deal Fantasy, fire content. All the time. He's a stud. Dynasty Dorks, another good one. One of my boys loves your product. Everybody loves your product. And we're all just pumped you're able to spread the wealth with us, James.
Like, I don't know, man. I mean, come on, dude. It's what I do for a living. It's talk.
Yeah, ball, but you're taking time out of your day to just shoot the shoot with us, dude. We love it.
Well, I enjoy it, man. I do. I enjoy being, part of people's programs. And I mean, listen, man, we all had to come from somewhere. And I remember being, kind of a small fry nothing too, and having to move up these ranks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If I can help, certainly I will do that.
Dude, I've got way too many shares of Rondale Moore in all my leagues. Is this one of those that's going to have instant production, or am I going to be kind of fooled like Christian Kirk?
Well, I don't know where he fits into this offense. Like, again, I think Rondale Moore is an interesting player. What a weird athletic profile this guy is. He's an absolute midget, but he can fly.
And he's strong.
Oh God, yeah. Like, yeah. No, look, the guy's a great athlete. It just happens to be he's a really, really small guy,
Right.
which is kind of sort of, I don't know, it's kind of odd, you know. How many 5'7" wide receivers do you
Right.
really see out there? Like,
Oh man.
I can't remember who was the last guy. There was a kid in Miami. No, I'm thinking of the kid in Denver, Trindon Holiday, I think was his name. And he was a wide receiver. Dude was like 5'7", 5'8", tiny guy, but was a special teamer. So what's Rondale Moore? I don't know. Is he a wide receiver? Is he a special teams guy? Boy, I'm not 100% sure. From a fantasy perspective, I'm just not interested. Um,
Right.
Look, there's too many mouths to feed. And I get it. They run 4 wide receiver sets more than any other team in the NFL. But you got Nuke Hopkins. He's going to eat a ton, right? They picked up AJ Green. They have an established Christian Kirk. Where does Rondale Moore fit into this whole scheme? I guess I don't know. Plus, it's not. I don't think it's a team that's going to throw the ball 600 times. I mean,
No.
So I don't know. I guess I don't see the volume share there being for him. I think he's going to have. There's going to be games when this dude pops off for 2 touchdowns, and everyone's going to be rushing to the waiver wire to go pick him up. I'm just not going to be drafting Rondale Moore. I mean, unless something happens to Christian Kirk where we can say, okay, there's a path for this guy to see, 85 to 100 targets. I don't see that path. I don't see a path where he sees anything more than, 50 to 60 targets next year. I guess I just don't see it. Certainly. And again, is he an interest? He's going to be a better real life player than a fantasy player in that he can stretch the field, in that, safeties and linebackers are going to have to account for him somewhere, right? Which could open up a little bit of, space for guys like AJ Green and Nuke Hopkins. So I don't know. We'll see. From a fantasy perspective, not interested. Real life perspective, I think it makes sense.
All right. Before we get on to the OG, the old school, got anything else on these guys? Are we ready to get started with the fun?
Well, I really like Elijah Moore. I think Elijah Moore there in New York. New York low-key had a very good offseason. And I know they're the Jets, and we've been burned by this before, but I kind of sort of like their wide receiver room, I am kind of operating off the fact that I believe that the Jets will cut Jamison Crowder, just given his contract. But maybe they don't, and if they don't need to. But it would certainly provide a lot of financial relief, and really, probably actually, honestly, they would want to, I would imagine, want to develop their younger players, especially a guy like Elijah Moore, who is
put him in, baby, let him grow.
Exactly. He's an absolute slot man, right? But you pair him with Denzel Mims and Corey Davis on the outside. You've got Zach Wilson now under center, slinging it, and that dude absolutely has. His DGAF is off the charts. You know what I'm saying? So he will sling it, bro. Like, he will let it rip. He's going to let it fly. And I think that Elijah Moore, being the player that he is, and again, if Jamison Crowder gets cut, he is a player that I see as having a path to 85 to 100 targets, which again, in fantasy, makes this guy, flex consideration each and every week.
Boom. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. James, dude. Thank you for your fantasy intel. Thank you for kind of smarting us up on these rookie receivers.
Yeah, bro.
I'm going to put on the shades, baby. I got my hater blackers on.
Okay.
It's old school. Hustling. That's right. Rick Ross. James Koh, baby. Where does all this personality come from? Because you have the gift of gab already. You are a smart gentleman, but you have so much more in the tank with your personality, your videos, everything. So where did this start out with? Was this just something you always did or what?
Yeah, I've always kind of sort of had a large personality, and especially, when that red light comes on, man, like I'm able to ramp it up to another level. There are times, I don't want to say there still are times in my career where I kind of sort of wish I dialed it back every now and again, but DirecTV has given me such a great platform, a great runway to kind of sort of explore my creativity. And my creativity, so often it's based in humor and just a lot of energy, man. Like that's just who I am. I'm an energetic guy. I get up for things, and I just love the fact that DirecTV basically just said, "Hey, listen, bro, like do your thing, and we will support you, and hopefully it all works." And what the great thing is for me, man, like it has worked, and the fact that they've believed in me and let me do my thing. It has certainly meant the world. Look, I loved working at NFL Network. The people, 90% of the people I worked with there were tremendous. And I became a better broadcaster. I became smarter about football. And the guys that I worked with there, especially on the podcast side, I consider to be friends. But the network is very conservative. And they really discourage you from showing too much personality.
So you're in really HR all the time then.
And it's like, look, unless you're Deion Sanders, they don't want you showing that much personality. They
don't
really
want you still in the show. Basically.
They don't. And they kind of sort of are, I don't want to say they frown on creativity, but they don't get it. Right. Again, a very conservative, old school network. They don't get it, man. Right. So a lot of these skits that I'm doing nowadays, it would never fly. They wouldn't greenlight it. They wouldn't give me the resources. They would never let me do what I'm doing right now over there because they would have been too scared that it wouldn't work. Great thing
what are we all here for?
Right
we
now,
want to be entertained, baby. Like that's huge.
Know.
Like our attention spans aren't there to just listen to Deion or Willie not knocking any football player. But I don't want to listen to you just break down the game for 20 minutes.
Well, look,
it's good to have, but I'm falling asleep. So wake me up.
I mean, I think the thing with NFL Network is it's a 24-hour, network, right? So certainly there is a place for what I'm doing there.
Yeah.
But they're just kind of sort of scared to embrace that, or they were scared to embrace it. We shall see moving forward. But again, DirecTV has. What I love about it is, man, they're fearless. They're like, if it doesn't work, it's all good. Like we'll scrap it and we'll just start over. But they said, James, we believe in you. Do your thing, and go ahead and go out there and go kill it. And again, if it's too much, we'll tell you to dial it back. Guess what? I've been there 3 seasons, going on 4 seasons now. They've never told me to dial it back. You know what I'm saying?
But that's the thing. You enjoy going to work when a place that lets you have creative freedom, lets you kind of learn. Even if you're doing something, if they came up to you tomorrow and said, hey, that last one was too much, it wouldn't be a big deal to you. You'd be like, okay, I appreciate that.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%.
Take the handcuffs off though, baby.
Yeah. So you asked me where it comes from, man. Like I've just had that my entire career. And like when I look at guys that I really, wanted to emulate, or guys that I looked up to in the space coming up, guys like Chris Berman come to mind, guys like Gus Johnson come to mind. So guys who did exhibit a ton of energy and a ton of personality. And that's just kind of sort of my spin on it. And to be honest with you, man, like I just feel like you look around the fantasy space, there's just not a lot of guys giving you information, entertainment, and and this whole lighthearted. I hesitate to say funny because I don't know if it's. I mean, it's somewhat funny, but just kind of like this humorous kind of take on fantasy football. That's just kind of what I kind of sort of bring to the table.
It's a different beast. Like I've had to learn because I am all over the place. I love fantasy, but I love football. I love the old school, the Barry Sanders, Dan Marino. I got to have a beer with Dan Marino in an airport bar, and I bought him a beer. Like that was cool to me. But some people don't want that. They just want the stats and everything. So I'm having to learn like, okay, let's have fun, but let's get the job done as well. But dude, you went to Cal. Old school, baby. Lynch, Javad Best, dude. How good was that guy in college? Aaron Rodgers and Djax,
Yeah.
man. If they're not on the screen, I could have went, Tony Gonzalez, I think. But
Keenan
who is your
Allen.
all-time Cal player? And then who was playing when you were there?
Yeah, look, I see Marshawn and Deshaun were guys that played when I was there, and they were there a little on the back end of my Cal career, but yeah, man, I remember having just graduated, watching Aaron Rodgers play, and man, he was just something else. He was special. But Marshawn Lynch is always going to have a place in my heart just because he's just such a wild man, and the fact that he has then blossomed into this Hall of Fame player, Hall of Fame caliber player. In the NFL too. It's just, I don't know, man, it warms the heart. And then you read about all the work that he's doing in the community too. He's just Oakland through and through. Went to high school there, went to college at Cal, which is, Oakland adjacent. And then now is doing all this work in the Oakland community. He's an absolute legend, man. He's an absolute stud, and I love him for all the stuff that he has done on the field, all the stuff that he's done off the field, and of course the fact that he went to Cal doesn't hurt either.
Boom, dude. Javad Best. Fill us in on this guy, man. The concussions kind of took a toll on him. The Lions probably took a toll on him. So
yeah, well, here's the thing. I always kind of sort of knew that Javad Best was not meant for the NFL. Very slight player. I actually always wondered why he just never made the switch to wide receiver, because he could run. Obviously had sprinter level speed. He actually, I believe he actually competed in the Olympics, sprinting.
Olympic.
So
crazy.
So yeah. Yeah, no, the guy's got speed for days. He's just such a slight player, so small. And at the running back position, especially back then, you had the Ray Lewis's running around, like, bro, it ain't gonna work. Like,
yeah, you're a tackling dummy.
If you were to take Javad Best and transport him, 15 years into the future, into like today's modern, like if he was coming out right now, oh my God, he would have been perfect. He would have been absolutely perfect. But
it was a 3-down workload then. It's different.
Yeah, but not only that, but man, the guys just hit harder, man. Like, linebackers, strong safeties, like these guys were running out there just wrecking shop, bro. And when I watched Javad Best at Cal, look, turn on his highlight tape. Unbelievable. But if you were a Cal fan like myself and watched every snap that he played, you knew that he was a little bit injury prone. He certainly did not like taking big hits. And I just felt like with his body size and BMI and all those type of things, I just kind of sort of knew he was not going to be long for the NFL. It's too hard. He had concussion issues in college, and you just knew that was going to take its toll, and that's certainly what happened.
California King, James Koh, baby, from University of Cal, San Diego. You got to do the Clippers, but how about this? Old school Staples Center, dude. The Lakers. This was a little bit probably before you went to college, but Kobe and Shaq, man, you got to remember those days, right?
Yeah, no, Kobe and Shaq. I was in the heart of college when Kobe and Shaq, early 2000s. What was their first championship? 98. Yeah, so I was in college. Yeah, I was in college then. But no, these guys were special. What modern day NBA fans don't know is that Shaq was the most dominant player of his era. Period. There were teams that literally, their whole entire game plan was not just to stop Shaq, but their off-season plan was, how do we stop Shaq? That's why all these 7-foot white boys were getting paid, $50, $60 million. Like, it was crazy. Shaq was such an unbelievable force in the NBA. They literally had to change the rules. They had to allow soft zone coverage to combat Shaq getting the ball in the low post. That's how bad it was. I say this not to hate on somebody like Steph Curry,
Right.
but Steph Curry had to have rules changed so that his style of play could even exist. Like the hand checking rules, the soft, fouls on the 3-point line. Like these are all things that these are rule changes and emphasis in rules that help Steph Curry. The NBA and all 29 other NBA teams did everything possible to stop Shaq because they thought it was unfair. Like that's how crazy Shaq was.
Dude,
And I think
you remember what
modern day
Kings
NFL NBA fans don't remember that.
Dude, and we had the Kings and the Blazers, Rasheed Wallace, Brian Grant, all these guys.
Yeah.
Just the Western Conference was so popping at that early stage. Like you remember the Blazers, you remember the Kings. I'm sure the Spurs were in there, but this was just dominance of NBA basketball.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it was so top heavy too. I mean, the Sacramento Kings, they had literally an all-star at every spot. The Portland Trailblazers had an all-star or former all-star at every position. That's what you needed to beat Shaq, and you couldn't do it. I mean, that's what was crazy. That's how dominant Shaq was. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, for my money, when I'm thinking top 5 players of all time, if Shaq's not in your top 5, you just don't remember seeing Shaq play. I mean, that's really
that's all I did. I was too young for the Jordan. Like I remember the very end of it, but it wasn't like I'll go back and I'd watch the classics, and I love it because I just love the nostalgia. I can't help it. But I remember Shaq. I remember Allen Iverson, Vince Carter, all these battles before LeBron. And it just it's just kind of cool to go back because it's been LeBron for so long. It's been Durant, Westbrook. Dude, and you were a Clippers broadcaster.
Yeah.
So I'm a big Knicks fan. I was on that streak. I think it was 2013 when the Knicks were probably the best they've been till now with Melo, just J.R. Smith, you name it. Give me your best Clipper moment as a broadcaster.
Well, I mean, we saw a lot of alley-oop dunks,
DeAndre, right?
Yeah, DeAndre, Blake Griffin, CP3. I was there. I covered the team, all 100 some odd games, preseason and postseason games. Wow. For one full season, and it was a great time, man. Like people know me for football, which is really interesting to me. Because before I got to NFL Network, I was known primarily as actually a UFC guy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
During the glory days of UFC too. Like I'm guessing Rampage and
Rampage, John Jones, Anderson Silva in his prime, like
God,
Jose Aldo in his prime. Oh, it was great, man. Like, yeah, there's tons of YouTube interviews that I've done with all of those guys. And I was way more famous and way more known for my UFC coverage than my NFL coverage. And I say it's funny because, and actually growing up, maybe you can hear it in the passion of my voice when I'm talking about Shaq and the Lakers and all that. I was a huge NBA fan, way bigger NBA fan than NFL fan, all the way until I was like, I don't know, maybe like 20, 22 years old, So that's what was crazy about it, man. Like,
but you got to engulf yourself in that Clippers process, like how a full season in the covering the really NBA works. Yeah, and you hit the gauntlet just like a player would.
Yeah, no, it was such a cool experience, and I really enjoyed my time with that. It was actually the busiest I've ever been because so I had to cover all 100 games, but I was still working full time at NFL Network, man. So I was
and you probably had a wife,
wife and kid, yeah, and like it was like wife and kid. Like I'm doing podcasts, I'm hosting TV shows, I'm going to Staples Center, I'm going to the studio to cover the Clippers. It was just, oh my God, it was absolute madness. I don't think I slept. I don't think I slept that year. I mean, honestly, it was just so crazy to me. But yeah, no, it was.
What an experience to be able to look back on, dude. Though, like,
yeah,
DeAndre. I've seen you met a couple times, things like that. A lot of people just kind of you'll be an old man. You'll be like, oh, I know Meta. We are
Right.
old guys. So they're redoing all the video games. We got Sonic. We got the new Mortal Kombat movie. As a kid, video games, what was your go-to?
Oh man, this is the thing. I was a big video game person. Like I loved video games. So when I was a little kid, all the Super Mario Brothers, all those platformers, Legend of Zelda, I was in it. I was in it heavy, but I would probably say, when I was a high schooler, the few games that really come to mind were Street Fighter 2 because it was huge. I mean, it took over the world back in the day. And I was big on Street Fighter 2, but man, I loved the whole Final Fantasy, series. I played them all. And I remember spending countless hours playing Final Fantasy 7 on my original PlayStation, So it was a lot of fun. I remember playing Chrono Trigger, a ton of RPG games, bro. Like I was heavy into it. And then when I got to college and, you got that Nintendo, played Star Fox. I played, oh my God, I cannot tell you how many hours me and my boys put in on Mario Kart. On Mario Kart, man, we were absolute studs.
People still play Mario Kart all the time, which is crazy.
Yeah. No. We played a ton of Bond, GoldenEye. Oh my gosh, we just played. Yeah, it was all of that, and of course we played a lot of Madden too. I mean, who the hell didn't play Madden when they were in college?
Right.
So. Yeah, we played a ton. I've always been a video game guy, and I've enjoyed it. Yeah, for sure.
Well, this is we're crossing over now. This is the part I've been waiting for. As you can see from the background, big wrestling fan. Yeah. So from video games, don't get me started, Koh. I would save my lunch money. I was a big kid, so of course I ate lunch somehow, some way. Usually pack my own lunch. Parents would give me the lunch money. I would save it up so I could go to Blockbuster, get a used wrestling video game.
Yeah.
Just being old school. But the cream of the crop, nobody did it better than Koh in the Macho Man. So let me hear, this is what got me as a wrestling fan. You're on here with Ranker doing these impersonations and just bringing more personality. So old school, were you a wrestling fan? Was that 90s? Were you the Attitude Era? Were you the Hogans, Machos? What was your thing?
Yeah. For me, it was all about, I started my love of wrestling back in the 80s. I loved Hogan. I actually loved, I don't know why I like bad guys. I like heels. So I really liked Mr. Perfect. I really liked Big Boss Man.
Yeah, dude, get out of here.
I love Ted DiBiase. I don't know. I just like these guys. Even from a young age, I don't know why I was more attracted to the heels than I was the faces, but that's where I was at.
Dude, that's one of the fun things because, when I was in college, obviously I watched wrestling. Then I got in middle school, high school with the girls and sports. I didn't care for it. But then I go to college, I start doing a little extracurriculars. I dive right back into wrestling. So now doing a podcast.
Bro, let me tell you, man, I was Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars. I didn't miss a Monday night. Dude, I remember learning how to use a VCR for the first time. Because you couldn't watch both shows at once, right? So I'd be recording.
That was the best, though.
That's what was happening. I was recording something. I would record the other show and then watch, you know what I'm saying? And then still flip back and forth because that's what you had to do.
We had it made our genre, our childhood was just, I think now it's overly saturated, just like everything. We literally got to experience. You didn't have a choice. It was either you're watching this, you're playing this, or you're not playing it.
I can't even tell you how many arguments I got into with my mom about watching the Monday Night Wars, because it's she wanted to watch something else, and it's no, we're not watching something else. We're watching the Monday Night Wars.
See, I was I wasn't getting in trouble, but I was like, hey, I found this real cool thing called Sable and Stone Cold.
Oh,
And my
God.
parents were like, what the truck are you doing? So,
Oh, God.
it was an
Oh, God.
experience.
I had to watch the Monday Night Wars on the upstairs TV because it got a little, I mean, let's be real, it got a little too racy.
Yeah.
Between
that and like, what was it? Wild on E, like all these shows.
Oh man, it was too much. Like my mom was like legit thinking like, okay, we might have to cancel cable TV.
James gonna have some problems if he takes this to school with him.
But yeah, no, it was great. No, I am still a diehard, lifelong Stone Cold Steve Austin fan. I've got like 5 or 6 of his VHS/DVDs just rolling around. I can't even watch them. I don't have a VHS player, but I can't get myself to get rid of these tapes.
Dude, it's cool to have. That's the one thing I've noticed from reliving wrestling and kind of doing it from an analyst perspective. Like you realize like a Big Boss Man is a really good wrestler. Like he's on point. And this is something as a 12, 13-year-old kid, I would have never thought like, Big Boss Man, I want Hogan, Right.
I mean, but it is interesting though, because even back then, like Hogan and like Ultimate Warrior, those guys were like pillars. Those guys were icons. They were huge in 80s wrestling. But even then, I still, for whatever reason, I really enjoyed watching Ric Flair. Because to me, he's on my Mount Rushmore of top 4, pro wrestlers of all time because perfect heel, master tactician, and yeah, man, he was the face of WCW for so long.
So, just fill you in on me. I used to work at a beach at a Hilton, and all these wrestlers would come and they'd want to party. Yeah. And I'm in my 20s. Like you're still talking about a 60-year-old Ric Flair, Michael Hayes, but they're like, "Hey Matt, let's go party."
Oh God.
I'm like, well, okay. So during the tail end of this, these guys are like, "Hey, $20, we shave my back." I'm like, well, $20 is $20, dude. But I got to experience so much of these larger than life personalities, and it doesn't quit when they get out of the ring. That's like great. They're going to the bar. It's not like James Koh or the Matty Daddy go to the bar and we just take it over. We're just trying to have a good time. The light doesn't turn off for these guys.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That is insane. I love it.
All right, well, let's mix the two real quick.
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence, Stone Cold. Pitts and the Macho Man. Tag team match. Who's going over? Who's getting the rub here, James?
Oh man, this is good. But it's good. But then that being said, Matty, I feel like you've stacked it too hard for the Stone Cold side.
Yeah, you get the.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence. Look, I like Kyle Pitts, but at the end of the day, he's a tight end.
Exactly. People are coming.
We're talking about a franchise quarterback
like
here, bro.
Second coming though, so.
No. Listen, he's going to be a fabulous player, and again, athletic profile wise, just off the charts. It's astounding what this guy is doing from an athletic standpoint, But that being said, at the end of the day, he's a tight end. You can't compare a tight end to a franchise quarterback. And then, look, I know you love the Macho Man,
but Stone Cold did wrestling, dude.
Come on. I mean, he carried the. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that Stone Cold Steve Austin saved the WWE. I don't think it's a stretch to say Stone Cold Steve Austin single-handedly made Vince McMahon a billionaire. I don't think it's a stretch to say that, because during that time, when it was like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and stuff, the ratings for WWE, and back then it was WWF, they were failing badly. Now, could you imagine Nitro with NWO versus WWE without Stone Cold Steve Austin?
It wouldn't.
They would have got absolutely murdered in the ratings. Yeah. That would have, and I think, my humble opinion, I think that the WWE would have folded if that were the case.
And that's the bottom line. Gosh dang, kid. James Koh knows what he's talking about. Comes on a fantasy show and talks wrestling. Dude, absolutely. Stone Cold, like when that glass broke, the authority figure. If I'm at NFL Network, glass is breaking and Koh's walking out, baby. Dude, it was. Oh,
That's
dude.
it.
Last but not least, dude, the hustle, man. We've been doing it. You're way farther in the process. But, dude, from little baby James, winning awards, going to college, owning his craft, learning, crawling before you walk, to fun James Koh over here, getting to use his creative juices, getting to do something he loves. Anybody that's watching this or that'll watch it later, you're just starting out or you've been in this process, any words of wisdom?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm 40 years old. It is a completely different world from when I came up. When I was coming up, we didn't have, believe it or not, we did not have YouTube. Okay, so there was no way for you to we didn't have social media, for God's sakes, man. Like, there was no way for you to share your work. So in today's age, I just don't think there's any excuse for you not to create content if that's what you want to do. And if you want to break through, because there's just so many more voices now. And to be honest with you, I actually don't know if I would have come up in today's world. I just don't know I don't know if I would have made it, because there's so many more voices now. And if you want to really break through, you got to be creating content literally every single day. Now, what you're going to find, and Maddie, I'm sure you can speak to this, but what you're going to find is that doing one bit, or doing, making one video, or coming up with one article or column, there's so much work that goes into that. So when I'm saying, creating content, what does that mean? It means you got to come up with ideas, and that's the lifeblood. So you're coming up with ideas, but do you have enough ideas to come up with content every day, every other day? You're going to soon find out how difficult that is. And I tell my friends and family this every single year. But by week 14, week 13, I feel like a completely over squeezed lemon. Like, I just feel like every creative juice has been absolutely sucked out of my body. That's how I feel going into week 14, week 15, and you got to understand, that's what it takes to create content on a weekly basis. So now go out there and try to go do that. You're going to find out how difficult that is. So yeah, I would just say it sounds easy. The advice sounds easy, but it's actually the hardest thing to do, which is just when I say you have to go out there and create content. And I'm talking, if you want to be a content creator and you're not creating one video or one article a week, you're done. There's 100 people, 300 people, 1,000 people doing that right now. And if you're not doing that, you're done. There's just, it's just not any competition, And so yeah, that's probably my one advice that I.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not getting the beeper page. Hey, James Koh's got a new video. I'm getting a notification every minute of every day. So if you're ready for those notifications, if you're ready to put in the grind and learn how to crawl before you can walk, jump in deep, baby. But just realize there are sacrifices to own your craft.
Maddie, I could talk on this for literal hours, days, weeks. There's just so much that goes into it, battling inner demons, there's so much of that going on. There's so much of just kind of trying to find your own voice. I think part of it is being self-critical. There's just not enough of that going around. You got to understand, I'm still writing notes down on my own shit, right? Oh, I didn't like that. I did like this. And the best piece of advice, career advice that I got, one of the best pieces of career advice I got was find one thing that you hate about yourself and work on that for 1 week. And then find one thing that you like about what you're doing and then keep on doing that shit. Right. But that one thing rule, and that's what I call it, the one thing rule, was so helpful because you don't get overwhelmed. Right. You are able to focus in on improving just one thing. And whether it's how I look at the camera, whether it's what I do with my hands, whether it's I don't like that I say a lot or whatever. Yeah. It's just one thing that you're going to be working on for an entire week. And then you reevaluate. Did I work on that one thing? How does it sound? How does it look? If I still need to keep working on it, I keep working on it. If I find something else that bothers me even more, I'm going to work on that. And so I feel like that's that rule, the one thing rule, helped me improve dramatically. And that's what this is all about. There are very few people in this game that just come out and are just gangbusters and are just super good at what they do. I could probably count them on one hand. And I find it funny, Maddie, when people hit me up online and say, "Oh, bro, you suck. I could do what you do." And I'm always thinking to myself, dog, you are absolutely right. You could absolutely do what I do. Why aren't you doing it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because I agree. You can do what I'm doing because I don't view myself as some kind of special talent. I really don't. But I tell you what, I have worked really hard on my craft. And that's why I am where I'm at. Now, I agree. Anybody could do what I'm doing because, again, bro, I'm not a special talent. I've just worked at this shit. So
dude,
come and
get
it.
You're doing it your way.
If you want my spot, bring it. Let's do it. Come on.
Boom. Pow. Dude, you're doing it your way, and you're doing it the right way, baby. Dude, James, real quick before we get out of here, we covered rookie receivers. We went a little old school. What? I said old school. Gosh dang. Talking to James Wrestling got me worked up, son. Dude, when we talked your journey, dude, you've done it all, and it's been fun, man. And you still got the wife and kids. You still have that degree. You have a couple Emmys in the background. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's crazy how the world works, from winning Emmys to painting pretty pictures like Bob Ross, baby. You've done it all. Let's give a shout out to you. Yeah. What you're working on, Matt Harmon, Reception Perception, Adam Ranker. I've been posting that video every day, dude. I am waiting for you to hulk up on me. Tackling Dummies, Reception Perception.
Tackling Dummies. Yeah. These are two shows that I've been working on developing, and certainly my partnership with Matt Harmon has been great. And I would strongly encourage, if you're into Dynasty and you don't know what Reception Perception is, I promise you are at a disadvantage. This tool helps Dynasty fantasy players more than anyone. Like I said, there are certain players that I think, Rondale Moore, for example, I don't think he's going to have a very good seasonal campaign, but what does his profile look like from a Dynasty perspective? What does Kadarius Toney's, Dynasty profile look like? Well, Matt Harmon has broken it down to a very digestible way. Beautiful graphics, great stats. And I tell you, and I've said this for 5 years now, it's the best tool on the market when it comes to evaluating wide receivers, period. Go check it out, receptionperception.com. And while I got you here, man, I would just love it if y'all subscribe to my YouTube channel. Adam Rank and I, we've got a show, Tackling Dummies, that we're doing every Wednesday. Clips come out, every couple of days from the program, but we live stream it and stuff. And it's not fantasy football. It's just regular old football. And we just have a lot of fun talking talking ball, talking shop, and every now and again we will bust out, some pro wrestling references and all of those type of things. But man, if y'all would subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would really appreciate it. I'm really trying to get my numbers up, and quite frankly, I need your help to do it. So if y'all can help me, man, that would be much appreciated.
Fantasy Affair, let's Hulk up, baby, and let's get James Koh, Adam Rank, tackling dummies, that hot tag. Adam, James, Matt Harmon, they're all killing it. Can't wait to see more of y'all's product. Dude, from all of us at the Fantasy Affair, thank you for what you have done, my man. And as always, it has been a pleasure, my treasure. And it's the Matty Daddy. Rookie receivers, we went old school. Old school is still cool. And James Koh, he's the man, baby. We heard his journey. This was a special moment for the Fantasy Affair, and I'm glad you guys got to experience it. Walk before you can crawl. Learn to do it. Don't just talk about it. James Koh, Matty Daddy, Fantasy Football. It's been a great ride, and until next week, I'm out.